What's going on, guys? This is Miracle Trigger, and welcome to the final clan review for the Ultra Rare Extra Booster coming out today, actually. So I'm just going to be running through all the cards and letting you know what my opinions on each one is, and then we're going to be talking about a possible deck list for the clan. Now, I do want to mention, if you saw the other day's update video, I do have a contest going on, where if you subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment on videos between now and the following Extra Booster release, I'm going to be giving away a free box, so that's pretty alright. If you are interested in that, just leave a comment below, like the video, and subscribe. But with that being said, let's jump into the grade 1s. Starting things off, we have COROLLA Dragon. This card gets ability on rearguard that when you place another rearguard due to a card's ability, it gets plus 3000 power. This works with a lot of the tokens that you're generating in this deck. It's pretty powerful, and I'm giving it 3 stars because it should probably be in your deck, but I can understand not running it. Next up is Knight of Collective Prosperity Craig, which is just a weird name for a dryad or an elf. I can't really see them being called Craig, but something about it's pretty funny to me. He has the continuous ability that all of your plant tokens in the same row as this unit gets plus 5000 power. So while that is pretty decent, it gives basically a 10,000 boost to the rest of the row, which is fine. He's only a 7k, and I don't think this is consistent enough that you're actually going to be benefiting on a regular basis. So I'm giving it 2 stars for now. Following Craig, we have Fruits Basket Elf. This is a card that on rearguard you can act Soul Blast 1 and retire this unit. Call up to 2 plant tokens to rearguard. If you have a grade 3 Vanguard or greater, you get to give those tokens a plus 5000 power boost until the end of the turn. This is a pretty good card because you're swinging an 8000 power card into a 10,000 power presence on the board. And if you're on grade 3, which usually you are, you jump that up to a 20,000 impact for that turn, which is huge. So this is getting a 5 stars for sure. Following her, we have Dandelion Musketeer MIRKKA. She has the ability on Vanguard or Rearguard. When placed, you can Soul Blast 1 and call a plant token in the same column as this unit. Now on top of that, when a unit is placed in the same column as this unit, she gets plus 3000 power, which just gives you a pretty effective column on its own, gives you some board presence. It's just good. We have Defensive Violence Deity Onigobo, which is our Sentinel grade 1, and I think this is a 2-star card. Normally I give these 1s, but in clans like this, where you're generating field out of tokens instead of hand advantage, it gives the opportunity for draw triggers to not matter as much. So I think this is an alright alternative if you're not looking to run draws, but for now I don't think it's good enough to run. And the final grade 1 we have to talk about is Lily of the Valley Musketeer Rebecca. So when placed on rearguard, one of your other grade 1 or less units get 5000 power, which is alright on its own. On top of that, at the end of your turn, you can Soul Blast 1 to retire a plant token and bounce this back to your hand. This allows you to play both offensively and defensively, which is super effective in clans like this, and I'm giving it 3 stars because it's something you want to run, but once something better comes around, you're probably going to swap this out. Starting off the grade 2s, we have Iris Knight. Now this is a 10k beater with the ability to give itself 3000 power to the end of the turn when it's boosted. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just kind of all around a meh card, and I'm giving it 3 stars because of that. Next up, we have a very powerful grade 2, probably the best in the set, and this is Spiritual Tree Sage MIRKKA. When placed on rearguard, if you have 2 or more grade 0 rearguards, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card. After that, all your units in this column get plus 5000 power. So essentially, if you have a token behind it, you're swinging for 25,000 and drawing a card. That's really good for a counterblast 1, and I think it's a 5-star card for sure. Next up, we have a 4-star card in Lily of the Valley Musketeer KAIVANT. When placed, this unit gets plus 5000 until the end of the turn for each of your grade 0s. This is kind of similar to Cathbad's effect from Shadow Paladins, as you're often going to have 3 grade 0 tokens on the field, and you'll swing this for 25,000. So it's a good beater, it swings for very big numbers, and it's pretty effective overall. Like I said, 4 stars. A card which is pretty interesting, but I don't think is quite as good as KAIVANT, is Frontline Valkyrie LAUREL, which I'm assuming Laurel from Dimension Police grows up into. He is quite a glow-up. Anyways, this has the continuous ability on rearguard that you get plus 2000 power for each of your other rearguards, meaning this card is a 17,000 on both turns when you have a full board. Like I said, this is a Force Clan and you're swinging for 27 if there's a marker under her, so it's just good. But on top of that, you have to consider there are other good cards in this clan, and it just doesn't quite make the cut right now. So another very powerful grade 2 is Pansy Musketeer SYLVIA. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you may call a plant token, and there's no cost to that. So these plant tokens allow you to get a lot of your abilities off, allows you to develop a pretty good advantage, and not having a cost associated with it just makes this a great card. Following Sylvia, we have Maiden of SALIX, which is our 10k vanilla with a 10k shield. I don't mind these cards. I probably think they're better than they are in my head, but in general, I think that they're very effective in force clans, where you're basically trying to stall out until you have enough power on the field to push past whatever they have. So because of that, I'm giving it a 3 stars. I think it's just okay in this deck. I don't think it's worth running over any of the current other options, though. Following her, we have Spinach Advisor, which is a card name. On the rearguard, when your other rearguard is placed due to a card ability, this card gets plus 3000 power. It's a fine skill, it's just COROLLA Dragon as a grade 2, but it doesn't compete with the other options that we have available, so I'm giving it a 3 stars because it's viable, but not the best option, if that makes sense. And our final grade 2 is Sunlight Garden's Guide. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you can call up to the same number of plant tokens as the number of tokens you have on the field already to open rearguard circles. So this is basically a multiplier version of Sylvia. The problem is that if you're multiplying by 0, you still get 0. So you need to be a bit ahead or a bit set up to actually have this card go off, and I think that restriction makes her decidedly worse than Sylvia, and I'm going to give her 3 stars because of that. Following her, we have White Lily Musketeer Cecilia, who is our main boss monster for the deck. She has the ability on Vanguard that once per turn you can counterblast 1, retire a rearguard, and look at the top 5 cards of your deck to call 2 of them. If you have a grade 3 in Soul, you can instead call 3 cards, and 3 units in your front row get plus 10,000 power to the end of the turn. This is a super effective pushing tactic to end out the game, and it's just powerful in a million different ways. This is a 5-star card, and this is what you're playing the deck for. Next up, we have the definite best girl of the set, and that is Maiden of the Trailing Rose. So when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you can call 1 plant token, and if it's on Vanguard, you call 2 instead. It also has the ability that once per turn on Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 and give 3 plant tokens 5k. It's not great, but she's cute as fuck. I'm giving her 5 stars because of it. I think this is a card that you could build a deck around pretty easily, especially once we get more support. So I'm not going to write it out at all, and I think that running 1 in this deck is pretty effective. It's a good tech, and yeah, try it out. A card I'm kind of mixed on is Maiden of Pure Splash. This is a grade 3 without a force marker and only a Vanguard skill, but when placed you can counterblast 3, call up to 5 plant tokens to open circles and choose 5 of your plant tokens and give them 5k each for each grade 0 on your field. That's a lot. Like, you're swinging for 60k rearguard columns and giving your Vanguard a 30k boost. That sounds really good, but a Counterblast 3 is super expensive. I don't know. This card is, it's a great finisher, but I'm not sure that it justifies running because of the cost and that it doesn't have a force marker. So because of that, I'm going to give this a 3 stars, I'm not entirely sure where it lands. I'm optimistic, I guess, is what I'm getting at here. Following that, we have Exploding Tomato, which is the best art in the set, obviously. So he has the ability on Vanguard or Rearguard. He can, once per turn, retire 2 plant tokens to draw a card and get 10,000 power. So this is a good way to utilize all your plant tokens and really make effective use of them. And at the end of the battle that it attacked on a Rearguard, you can retire this unit and call 2 plant tokens to your back row. So you're basically, if this is on Rearguard, recycling this card, which is pretty effective because you get that draw. You swing for pretty big numbers. It's good. I don't think this is a bad card in any regards. 4 stars, and you're probably going to be running at least 3 copies of this. Now, as for the deck itself, I'm going to be running 4 heal triggers, 4 perfect guard draws, and 8 crit. I think they're just pretty effective in running the deck. I run 4 Fruits Basket Elf because it allows you to build your board and swing for big numbers. 4 MIRKKA, same thing. I do run 3 Rebecca, which allow you to boost your field, hit big numbers, and play defensively as well as pushing pretty strong. And 2 COROLLA Dragon, just for that extra, sometimes that extra boost that you're able to do. As far as the grade 2s, I run 4 IRMINSUL because this card's super strong. I run 4 KAIVANT, again, super powerful card, swings for big numbers and allows you to push for that end game. And 4 SYLVIA because she brings out tokens for free, and that's really good. Grade 3s are pretty straightforward. I run 4 White Lily Musketeer Cecilia, I run 3 Exploding Tomato, and 1 Maiden of Trailing Rose. Like I said, I am pretty interested in Maiden of Pure Splash. I just haven't had time to test it out, so if anyone has some experience with it, let me know what you think, and maybe I'll incorporate it in the future. But with all that being said, that is how I'm running the deck. I hope you guys learned something or found some valuable information in this. Remember, if you leave a like, subscribe, and a comment, you have a chance to win that extra booster coming out in January. You can also subscribe to my Patreon for extra entries into the draw, as well as helping me keep up to date in the game, supporting my channel by allowing me to get new hardware and software that let me make better content, and of course letting me be able to do more giveaways in the future. But with all that being said, this is Miracle Trigger. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.